The Things They Carried sure is an interesting book, especially this part where Mark Fossey brings his girlfriend to Vietnam. That really reminds me of a part in Othello by William Shakespeare, when Othello brings his wife Desdemona to Cyprus with him when he is going to fight in a war. The play I researched was Othello, written by William Shakespeare. Although the exact birth date of William Shakespeare is not known, it is known he was baptized on April 26, 1564. Because of this, it is believed he was born around April 23, 1564. He was born approximately 100 miles west of London in Stratford-upon-Avon. He was the third child of John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. William had 2 older sisters and 3 younger brothers. However, his 2 sisters did not live past infancy. After many different jobs, his father became the town bailiff, a position similar to a mayor. Because of his father's status, it is believed Shakespeare attended a grammar school in Stratford until the age of around 15. In 1582, a few years after he left school, William Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway. William was 18 when they got married, while Anne was 26. Susan was their firstborn child, and in early 1585, Anne and William had twins named Judith and Hamnet, although Hamnet would die at the young age of 11. For 7 years after the birth of Hamnet and Judith, little is known about Shakespeare. These 7 years are known as the lost years. History of Shakespeare picks back up in 1592, when Shakespeare left to work in London. While Shakespeare was working in London, Anne stayed home with the children. Some believe that this separation and the few children were a sign of a strained marriage, but this cannot be confirmed. In 1592, Shakespeare was able to make a living from acting and writing plays. He began working for an acting company in London called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. As time went on, his name began to grow in the acting community. He would die on April 23, 1616. In total, he wrote 38 plays, 154 sonnets, and 5 long narrative poems, leaving behind a legacy that will last forever. William Shakespeare had written 25 plays before 1603, the year he wrote Othello. It is believed the idea from Othello came from a short story called Un Capitano Moro, which was written by Giraldi Cinthio. The original story was written in Italian, but never fully translated into English. This means the author of Othello would have had to been bilingual, so they could comprehend the story in Italian and rewrite it into English. This leads some to believe that Shakespeare was not the author of the play Othello, because his short time in school would not have allowed him to learn Italian. However, none of this can be confirmed. The protagonist of Othello is a black man, which was something that was very uncommon at the time it was first performed. Because of this, Othello is regarded as a groundbreaking cultural work for its time, and may have forced audiences to rethink the social structure during the early 16th century. The first performance of the play was on November 1st, 1604, under the name A Moorish Captain. The play quickly became very popular and was eventually performed at the wedding of King James I's daughter. Othello was officially published in 1622 by Thomas Walkley. The main character in the play is Othello, who is a Moorish general in the Venetian army. Desdemona, his wife, is another important character in the play. Iago is the main antagonist, and Rodrigo is his partner. The play Othello is about a man named Iago and his plan to take down Othello. Othello, the main character, is a Moorish general in the Venetian army. Iago has beef with Othello because Othello promoted a man named Cassio over him. Iago recruits his friend Rodrigo to help him out because Rodrigo is in love with Desdemona, Othello's wife. Iago and Rodrigo begin by informing Desdemona's father that Othello has married Desdemona. Desdemona's father does not like this because Othello did not ask for permission and he is black. As Desdemona's father is attempting to break up the marriage, Othello gets word he is needed in Cyprus for military action. Othello brings everyone with him, including his wife. Next, Iago and Rodrigo plan to convince Othello that Desdemona is cheating on him with Cassio. They hope that in doing this, they will ruin Othello's life. I'll be performing a part of Act 3, Scene 3, when Iago begins to hint that Desdemona is having an affair with Cassio. Excellent repetition catch my soul, but I do not love thee. and when I love thee not, chaos is come again. My noble lord, what dost thou say, Iago? Did Michael Cassio, when he wooed my lady, know of your love? He did, from first to last. Why dost thou ask? But for a satisfaction of my thought, no further harm. Why of thy thought, Iago? I did not think he had been acquainted with her. Oh, yes, and went between us very oft. Indeed? Indeed, aye, indeed. Discernest thou aught in that? Is he not honest? Honest, my lord? Honest, aye, honest. My lord, for aught I know. What dost thou think? My lord, you know I love you. I think thou dost, and for I know thou art full of love and honesty, and weightest thy words before you givest them breath. Therefore these stops of thine frighten me the more. For such things in a false disloyal are tricks of custom, but in a man they are just. They are closed dilations, working from the heart, that passion cannot rule. For Michael Cassio, I dare be sworn, I think that he is honest. I think so too. Men should be what they seem, or those that be not, what they might seem none. Certain, men should be what they seem. Why then I think Cassio's an honest man. Nay, yet there's more in this. I prithee speak to me as thy thinkings, as thou dost ruminate, and give thy worst of thoughts, the worst of words. Good, my lord, pardon me. Though I am bound to act of every duty, I am not bound to all that slaves are free. Utter my thoughts. Why say they are vile and false, as where is that place whereunto foul things sometimes intrude not? Who has that breast so pure, wherein uncleanly apprehensions keep us in law days and sessions sit with meditations lawful? Thou dost conspire against me, thy friend Iago, if thou but thinkest him wronged, and makest his ear a stranger to thy thoughts. I do beseech you, though I perchance am vicious in my guess, as, I confess, it is my nature's plague to spy into abuses, and oft my jealousy shapes faults that are not, that your wisdom, from one that is so imperfectly consists, would take no notice, nor build yourself a trouble out of his scattering and unsure observance. It were not for you quiet, nor your good, nor for my manhood, honesty, and wisdom, to let you know my thoughts. What dost thou mean? Good name in man and woman, dear my lord, is the immediate jewel of their souls. Who steals my purse steals trash. 'Tis something, nothing. 'Twas mine, 'tis his, and has been slave to thousands. But he that flinches from my good name robs me of that which not enriches him, and makes the poor indeed. I'll know thy thoughts. After this, Iago plants one of Desdemona's handkerchiefs in Cassio's bedroom. Once Othello finds this, he is convinced Desdemona is having an affair with Cassio. Othello is then determined to kill Desdemona, and he asks Iago to kill Cassio, but Iago gives this job off to Rodrigo. Rodrigo's murder attempt is unsuccessful, and he is actually the one who ends up getting killed. While this is going on, Othello is smothering Desdemona with a pillow. Desdemona's attendant, who also happens to be Iago's wife, sees this happen. Once Othello mentioned the handkerchief, Iago's wife realized that Iago was the one behind all of this. Iago then proceeds to kill his wife, but it is too late. Othello then realizes that Desdemona was never actually cheating on him, so he kills himself out of guilt. Other than Iago, who ends up in jail, most other characters from the play end up dead. Act 3, Scene 3 plays a very important role to the story. This is the first time Othello gets the idea of his wife cheating on him, which eventually leads to his death. It also shows one of the main themes in the play, which is jealousy. Clearly, the main theme of Othello is jealousy. Othello gives in to the jealousy he has when he believes his wife is having an affair by killing Desdemona as well as himself. Another prevalent theme from the play is manipulation. Iago carefully manipulates Othello into believing Cassio is having an affair with Desdemona. This manipulation leads to the jealousy, which leads to the death of many characters from the play. Many professionals, including Michael Billington from The Guardian, are very impressed with Othello. Billington said, "Othello is without a doubt one of the greatest tragedies ever written." He also said it is a great example of old text that has themes that can still be applied to modern-day situations. Personally, I enjoyed reading Othello. I think it tells a great story with many relevant themes. Compared to the other works of Shakespeare that I've read in school, Othello was definitely the most complicated. Although this made it slightly harder to understand, I think it created a much more interesting and captivating play.